Jeff, we got a number of sporting events coming up this week, including the Trash Pandas home opener, but I
Yes.
think you're going to have some bad news for us.
I think for the opener, but not for the entire series.
Sure.
So that's
good news. Yeah.
We got some soggy weather out there that's going to be coming on in starting tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, both those days likely going to be tracking a lot of rainfall. It does begin to move out later into the week, so by Friday we're back to dry weather. Upcoming weekend looks dry as well. So again, the opener Tuesday for the Trash Pandas a little soggy. The last 3 games, though, should be just perfect weather for a baseball game. We've also got the Huntsville City Football Club has a game as well, I believe, on Saturday, and should have good weather for that one. Temperature-wise, we're right about where we should be, 60s, low to mid-70s for most of the week. We do warm slightly for the weekend, and then we'll be tracking, it looks like, some more unsettled weather heading into the beginning of next week. Grace will be in tomorrow morning. She'll have the latest details on that wet weather ahead.
To keep my sanity, I'm just going to focus on Friday and Saturday and enjoy that beautiful weather.
There you go.
It's the least you could do.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
WAAY 31 gives you 24/7 coverage. You can count on local news, breaking news, and severe weather. Watch WAAY 31 on all of our streaming platforms and download the only weather app with 3 live Doppler radars. Don't go anywhere. LawCall is next.
This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions about fighting the insurance company. Maybe you've been in a wreck, maybe you've been in a fall, maybe you've been the victim of a medical mistake or had damage to your home like a storm or a fire. How do you know what to do with the insurance company? Do you even have a claim with the problem you're talking about? What if the insurance company offers to settle really quickly with you, but you think the number they're offering is lower than what you expected? Or the exact opposite, they won't even call you back. What do you do? Well, maybe you need to talk to a lawyer, and maybe tonight is your chance to ask those questions. The 31 Law Call number, 256-536-0077. You can also email us. You can email any day of the week, any legal question, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got some of your email questions tonight. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on that topic, we will have some, including some tonight. We've got with us Heath Brooks from Timberlake League. And Brooks, good to have you here tonight.
Good to be here.
We always like to pull out a video and start us off with a video that we've found on YouTube. It's not local, but it's an accident, and we like to run it past the guys that handle these kind of cases. Take a look at this law call. 2 cars, and we'll see it again. They're coming from different directions. Another car accident. It seems like they've both got lights. If you look really closely, they've got traffic lights, and maybe they've got yield signs. Can you tell, Heath, who's at fault by this, or what would you be looking to figure out what to do with it if a client comes into the office with something like this?
There's a couple of things about this. One is you always got to be traveling what is safe for the conditions. And I noticed that there's somebody that's moving pretty slowly
the lady in the crosswalk.
I think they should be slowing. The fella that is driving the white car should be slowing down. I mean, he almost hits that lady. And then it looks like the fella who is in the gray car, the lady who's in the gray car, just kind of comes out there. And I believe that generally, if you were driving down a main thoroughfare, side streets have to yield to the folks that are coming down the main thoroughfare. So what it looks like is that the gray car may be responsible, but the white car could be responsible too, under the concept in Alabama called contributory negligence.
Okay, Alabama's got weird laws that make it really important for you to talk to a lawyer before you say anything to anybody, because it affects what happens to your case. What are you talking about?
So we're talking about insurance companies tonight. So one of the things about an insurance company is that as soon as you get in a wreck, an insurance company may get on the phone, try to get your recorded statement, try to get you to say some things that will kick you out, or kick the insurance company out of having responsibility for paying any kind of damages you may have to your car or to your body. And the way in Alabama, or the most popular way to do that, is to get an insurance company to admit that you are what is called contributorily negligent. And what that means is that you have contributed in some small way, and I'm talking 0.0001% small way, to your own injury, to causing that wreck or to causing a fall. And if that happens, then you cannot recover a penny. So in this scenario with the white car that's flying down the road and the lady looks like she's trying to cross the road, what could happen is an Alabama jury could find out that that white car is traveling just too fast for the conditions and that they are actually contributorily negligent and can't recover a penny.
So even if the gray car is the one you'd say, they're at fault, the white car, a little bit, even just a little bit, they can't recover in Alabama.
Little tiny bit, that's right.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the different reasons you might have to be dealing with an insurance company, because they come up in all sorts of situations.
That's right.
It's not just car accidents.
So you've got insurance companies, you've got situations where you have life insurance. A lot of us have life insurance in case the worst case scenario happens. And unfortunately, when somebody passes away and they have life insurance, sometimes the insurance company doesn't want to pay. We've seen situations like that. You have insurance for earthquakes. We were talking about this earlier. There was an earthquake in 1811 that sent the Mississippi River backwards. Do
you have insurance?
That's
for
right.
that?
We just had an earthquake up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
It was the largest earthquake in New Jersey in 200 years. The important part of that is there are fault lines. There are earthquakes. I think we had one earlier this year out at Fort Payne.
Yep.
There are earthquakes in Alabama, and insurance companies do sell earthquake insurance. We buy insurance for our homes. We buy insurance for our pets. I've seen advertisements for this all over the place. You know, a pet care is expensive, so we buy insurance for our pet care.
Yep.
You know, and of course, then your car insurance. You know, and your health insurance. Insurance is one of these things that's just pervasive through our lives, and we need them for all sorts of things.
Eventually, somebody's going to make a mistake. Whether it doesn't have to be intentional.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of situations. Talk about if you get a surprise letter in the mail. So I had a cousin had been in a small car accident and receives a letter in the mail from a lawyer somewhere, says they want $10,000 to settle this thing out. We're like, he's mailing you directly.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, you know, you can do that, and we see these situations from time to time. You know, you'll get a letter in the mail. It'll say, hey, look, if you can resolve this for $10,000, we can make it all go away. And oftentimes it's a situation where maybe there is no insurance involved. It's a situation that doesn't deal with insurance, or the person who hit you didn't want to make an insurance claim and they're trying to get out of contacting their insurance company. I always say if you get a letter from someone asking for a resolution, probably the first thing you need to do is pick up the phone and call an attorney and make sure that's on the up and up. It may be fine. I mean, it may be a situation where there's some folks just trying to resolve a dispute without getting insurance companies involved, and that can happen. And that can happen, and sometimes it's better. But in that kind of scenario, always contact a lawyer.
Okay. We got this email question from Tia. Tia had written in, my older sister was involved in a car accident in which the other party was definitely at fault. Her medical bills totaled $3,500, plus $3,500 in lost wages. She's 38 years old and female. What would be a reasonable reimbursement if you include pain and suffering? Okay, pain and suffering. How do you put a number on that? You know exactly what the medical bills are. You know exactly what she lost missing work.
That's right.
How do you put a number on your pain and what you've been through?
Well, and also one thing we don't know is what are the facts and circumstances of the car wreck. You know, I don't know if the person who hit her was drunk driving. Okay. She could be. There's types of damages we call compensatory damages, and what compensatory damages do is they compensate you for what you have lost as good as money can do. Money sometimes is like sawdust. You can eat it, keep you alive, but it's not very satisfying. But that's all we have as a remedy. So compensatory damages can be things like your pain and suffering, your medical bills, your mental anguish. It can be things like a permanent injury, or God forbid you have a situation where you are disfigured. Those are all compensatory damages that compensate you for what you've lost as good as money can do. Another type of damage we have is called punitive damages. And those are the types of damages that punish the wrongdoer so that they never do it again. So if I'm drunk driving and I hit somebody and I hurt them, punitive damages may be at play to ensure that I never drink and drive again and cause somebody an injury. So in answer to the question, when you have $3,500 in medical bills, you have some lost wages, which is a compensatory damage. It's very difficult to define what pain and suffering is because we know what those special damages are. That's what we call them as special damages. But pain and suffering is something that you can't really get your fingers around. So I play music. if I didn't have my left hand, I couldn't play music anymore. That has a value to me.
Yeah.
But that may have a different value to someone else. So that's why we rely upon jury verdicts and what juries typically do in those kinds of scenarios in the different counties that we practice in, Madison County, Marshall County, up in Tennessee, and I practice in Georgia. We look at what juries have done and we assess the value based upon what a jury has done. And I can't tell you exactly what your case is going to be worth because nobody knows what a jury is going to do. But we have an idea and a range of values that we look at.
And a lawyer that's tried cases in those places.
That's right.
Don't just assume that every lawyer has tried a case in that area.
That's
a lot
right.
of them will settle cases, but if you haven't been doing the jury trial, you don't know.
You have to know.
Yeah.
You have to know what juries do with
Yeah.
cases.
We've got Rick on the line with a question from
Sure.
Killen. Hi, Rick. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hi. My question is, if say you got a strip mall, you
Okay.
pull in their parking lot, and they don't maintain their parking lot, and there's giant potholes, and every time you hit it, it whips you around in your car, and you wind up hurting your neck or something like that. Is that owner responsible?
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
You know, this is something that we see a lot of, actually. And there's actually a pretty good case in the Alabama Supreme Court that dealt with holes in parking lots. A little different scenario. Lady was walking through a parking lot and her foot fell in the hole and she fell and she hurt herself. But at the basic heart of it, Rick, is that a parking lot owner has a responsibility to keep their parking lot in a reasonably safe condition and to warn you of hazards that they knew about or they should have known about or they created. And so the quick answer to your question is yes, a parking lot owner is responsible to upkeep their parking lot. And if there are hazards and dangers in their parking lot that cause you injury or cause a patron injury or somebody who is bringing a benefit to the store that the parking lot owner is renting the property to, then there can be a claim for damages. Now, you know, the situation with damages, if you're significantly injured, then you have a more significant chance of needing to get into litigation and lawsuits and things. But oftentimes you do have a claim to make against the parking lot owner if you get an injury for a hole in the parking lot.
We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Larry's on the line. We'll get to you in just a second. Larry, stay with us. We'll be right back answering all your questions about fighting the insurance company.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. featuring the knowledge and experience of attorney Michael Timberlake, attorney Will League, attorney Heath Brooks, attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. Tonight we are talking about fighting the insurance company. Heath Brooks is here from Timberlake, League and Brooks, and we've got callers stacked up and waiting. Larry is on the line, been waiting from Florence. Hi, Larry. Thanks for waiting. What's your question tonight?
How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? What's your question tonight?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay. Sure.
You know, back in the late 40s and early 50s, they were selling these insurance policies for like burial policies for like 93 cents and a dollar.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
And we had 3 of them on my wife. She died in February.
Sorry.
The funeral home turned to me and they supposed to give us a check, but we've never heard anything from them. And she had another policy. I won't call her name, but it was called critical care.
Okay.
And on the critical care, it stated that if she lost all of her ability for personal care, we had to bathe her diapers, everything. She couldn't stand or anything.
Yeah.
Now, and we heard nothing from them. So how long do you think it takes to get her answer, or do you think we just shooting in the wind?
Good question.
Well, Larry, here's the deal. On those end of life types of policies, I've seen those before. I dealt with that with my own grandmother, actually. And there's a lot of, if you don't have a copy of the policy, I would strongly suggest that you get a copy of the actual policy, because a lot of times those policies will have things called exclusions where they're trying to get out of responsibility of paying you what you're owed. And I can tell you this right now, just in general with insurance companies, you're not going to hear from them. You've got to be the squeaky wheel. So you've got to be the one who contacts the insurance company, makes the claim, provides the information that they need, calls them back, pushes the envelope. That's what we do, every day. Is we're calling them all the time to make sure they're doing what they need to be doing, and you got to push and push and push and push with these insurance companies, particularly with those end of life type of insurance policies. They're not going to reach out to you. These are something that they sold a long time ago, probably never had any intention of paying it out anyway. So what I would suggest you do is you get copies of those policies. Make sure that you have a copy of those policies, and then I would probably contact a lawyer and have them review those policies so that they could move forward with making the claims for you or on your behalf, because that's something that is probably going to be pretty difficult for you to maneuver through. May not be anything at the end of it for you, but it sounds like to me that the insurance carriers may be just trying to get out of responsibility here.
Good luck with it, Larry, and sorry for your loss. We've got Rita on the line with a question from Scottsboro. Hi, Rita. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight? Hi.
Yes, Sharon. My sister works for an individual, and she lives with them as part of her compensation package.
Okay.
She fell and got hurt on the job, and she is looking at possibly having surgery on her lower back.
Right.
Would this fall under homeowners, or how is that going to work?
So let me make sure I got you right. So she is working in the home of another individual, and that's where she fell?
Correct.
Okay. So that's probably going to fall under a workers' compensation claim, but there also could be a third-party claim. And let me tell you what I mean by that. First off, if she is on the job, then workers' compensation, if there is workers' compensation insurance, and it sounds like she works for a larger company, so anything more than 4 employees, they've got to have workers' compensation insurance. So workers' compensation insurance is going to pay for her medical care. For the time that she's off of work, she'll get 66 2/3% of her average weekly wage. And then depending upon the level of her injury, she may be entitled to a lump sum payment from the workers' comp carrier for her any kind of permanent impairment she may have. That's the workers' comp insurance side of it. There is another side of situations where a person gets injured and they're on the job, but it is somebody else's fault. The classic examples are if you're driving in a car and you're driving in a car on the job and someone else runs a red light and hits you. Well, that person that ran the red light and hit you, they're still responsible, but because you're on the job, workers' compensation is responsible too. We call those third-party claims, and it's your sister, I believe is what you said. So she may have two different claims. That's one of those things that you really need to contact a lawyer about. We would do some investigation, and we would make a determination about whether or not there's a potential homeowner's insurance claim there. And you kind of hit that nail on the head. There could be a homeowner's insurance claim, but there seems to be definitely a workers' compensation claim that your sister would have.
What if it's a lower scale kind of situation? Maybe she's living there and helping out and she's not working for a big company. What if she's just working for an individual and in the home? Is their insurance going to protect her?
It could be. Okay. So if you don't have to have homeowners or workers' compensation coverage, if it's not a situation where you are a company with more than 4 employees, then we revert back to the old law from the early 1900s, the Employer Liability Act. And what that requires, if you're doing a job for somebody, that person that you're doing a job for has a responsibility to maintain a safe work environment. And if the work environment is not safe, then you could have a claim against a homeowner there, even though you're actually working for them. That person wouldn't be required to carry workers' compensation insurance.
Okay. We've got Jennifer on the line with a question from Coleman. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for calling in. What's your question tonight? Hey, Jennifer, are you still with us from Coleman? One more try, Jennifer from Coleman. Okay, let's talk about, we've had so much wind damage lately.
That's right.
Trees falling on cars
Yep.
and things like that. So if a tree falls on your car at your home,
Yep.
is that your car insurance? Is that your homeowner's insurance? What is that?
It's car insurance. Because most of the time what your homeowner's insurance coverage is going to do is they're going to exclude any vehicles from your homeowner's insurance coverage. So if your car's parked in your yard and a tree falls on it, then most likely it's going to be on your car insurance as opposed to homeowner's insurance. But I had some property damage from some wind. And when you have wind damage, be careful with flood damage. You got to carry flood insurance to get coverage for flood damage. But with wind, you can make a homeowner's insurance claim. In my situation, I had some flashing that got pushed up with the wind, and then some water came underneath the flashing of the roof and did some damage. I did not make a homeowner's insurance claim for a lot of different reasons. It would end up being more expensive to do that than what I could just pay somebody to make this minor repair for. But those are the types of claims that you would make if you have significant damage making a claim with your homeowner's insurance.
All of the folks that have been calling in with questions. So if they needed to come see an attorney that does personal injury work,
right.
How do they afford you? Or the first consultation, do you pay for that?
I get that question a lot every time I sit down and talk with somebody about it, is that, well, what do we owe you for your time? Well, the thing is that the folks that do my kind of work, the personal injury or insurance claims on the plaintiff's side, we don't charge by the hour. We charge by what's called a contingency rate, meaning we take a percentage of what we collect, and that's how all lawyers who do my type of work should do. When you go to a lawyer who does personal injury work or who does insurance work for the plaintiff, then it should be a contingency basis rate. You don't pay a nickel unless we recover for you.
You warned us a little bit about talking to the insurance company and that
Right.
they're looking for something. Is talking to your own insurance company, do you need to go see a lawyer before you talk to your own insurance company?
It depends. It depends on what kind of issue you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a situation where you are in a catastrophic wreck and you have catastrophic injuries, there could be a situation where the person who caused your injuries just doesn't have enough insurance coverage. And you may have to rely upon your own uninsured motorist coverage on your vehicle to pick up the slack. And when that happens, your insurance company literally jumps into the shoes of the person who hit you or caused your injuries, and then you may be adverse to your own insurance company. So in those kinds of scenarios, it's always good to talk to a lawyer first to make sure that your path that you're going to take is the right path that you're going to take. It's not going to cost you a nickel to talk to a lawyer about it. There should be a lawyer should be willing to talk to you and give you some advice about the avenues you should take.
Take advantage of that.
That's right.
We've got Melvin on the line with a question from Russellville. Hi, Melvin. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, my grandson had a wreck in my truck. I let him drive my truck to school this week.
Okay.
And the insurance company, they said they was totaling it out. So my adjuster called me the other day, and I was in the barber shop, and I couldn't talk to him good then. So he said I had asked me when the last time I had a wreck in my truck, and I said 10 or 12 years ago. So he said yes, and then he said he looked back again. He said, no, you had one in January 26th. I said, no, I didn't. I told him I had a flat, and I had my wrecker. My lug wouldn't work right. I had my the wrecker pulled my truck in to get a tie put on it.
Yeah.
So he said, well, that's considered a wreck. I said, no, it's not considered a wreck. He said, even if a tie, well, he said, that's considered a wreck. And he said, so we're going to have to set a person out and look at your car and take pictures. And one of the adjusters had said that what he's trying to do is cause you to get less value of your truck.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not a wreck. You know, and that's something that you can dispute with the insurance company. Melvin, what I would do is I would go ahead and give a lawyer a call and walk you through that. That may be a situation where the insurance company is not treating you fairly, and it could be a bad faith situation, and that could carry with it some pretty stiff penalties for the insurance company. I'd give somebody a shout.
We're learning from you too, Melvin. That's very interesting
right.
when they pull that on us. We're going to take a break. Be right back answering more of your calls and questions about fighting the insurance company. If you didn't get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Heath Brooks with Timberlake League and Brooks. They are personal injury attorneys, so everything from car accidents to medical malpractice. 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon practices family law, divorces, child custody. She can be reached at 256-539-7337 or www.sharonfamilylaw.com.
Thank you all for your calls and questions. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good night.